Hello everyone, welcome to Pharmacology Shorts. I am Dr. Swati Negi and this is one of our 6th video lecture series on antiarrhythmic drugs. In this video, we will be understanding the concept of cardiac rhythm and arrhythmia, seeing the cardiac action potential physiology, the mode of action of different drugs on arrhythmia and the classification of the drugs. Now, normal cardiac rhythm is also known as sinus rhythm, and we call it as normal rhythm only when it fulfills certain criteria. That is, the rate should fall between 60 to 100 beat per minute and it should follow a certain pathway. That is, the impulse conduction should start at SA node, it should then travel to AV node, and through bundle of phase, it should then travel to the Purkinje fiber. When the impulse is traveling through this pathway, it is called as normal rhythm. Any deviation from this pathway is called as arrhythmia. We are aware that cardiac heart muscle have two types of cells, autorhythmic myocytes and contractile myocyte. Autorhythmic myocyte will generate the impulse spontaneously and propagate to the rest of the organs like the SA node, and contractile myocyte will contract together with the action potential generated and pump the blood forward. Because there are two types of cell, we will see two types of action potential at the heart. Now let's first see the action potential generated at the contractile myocyte. So when we plot the graph, this is the graph that we will get. We will see that the action potential has 5 phases from phase 0 to phase 4. Now let's see what is happening at each phase. We should remember that the resting membrane potential at the cardiac cell is at -90. So as soon as the impulse is generated, the action potential rises to +20, and that is because of rapid influx of sodium ions through the fast sodium channel. After it gets to +20, the action potential starts to decrease, and this is because of potassium efflux, that is potassium ions are going out. But then at phase 2 we are seeing a notch and a plateau. And why is that? That is because the L type calcium channel opens and the calcium is coming inside the cell, but potassium is going out through the delayed rectifier potassium channel, and so a plateau maintenance is there. After the calcium channel closes, the potassium is still going out, and because of that the repolarization resumes. And when at -90, there is a phase 4 where there is passive movement of potassium channel, and that is the resting membrane potential is achieved. We should know about one more thing, and that is the effective refractive period, which is divided into two parts. In absolute refractive period, remember that there is no amount of impulse can stimulate the cardiac cell. But in relative refractive period, if the impulse is strong enough, the cell can be stimulated. Now we will see the action potential at nodal cell. Remember that at the nodal cell, the resting membrane potential is at -60. So what is happening? This is the graph that we get at nodal cell. So it has only three phases: phase 0, phase 3 and phase 4. At phase 4 there is slow influx of sodium ions, and at phase 0, which is the depolarization wave, there will be rapid influx of calcium. Remember, this is the question that is always asked. At nodal cell, the depolarization is because of calcium, and at myocardial cell, it is because of sodium. The repolarization is again because of potassium, and this is the wave that we get. Okay. If we see the graph side by side, these are the differences that you will see. This is at nodal cell and this is at the contractile myocardium. You can very well appreciate it. Now you should also know about electrocardiogram. What is it? It is ECG. It is the test to measure the electrical activity of heartbeat. And why should you know it? It is because this is the investigation of choice in arrhythmia. It has a P wave, a QRS complex and a T wave. Let's see what each signifies. Now see this P wave is synonymous with the atrial excitation, that is atrial contraction is signified by P wave. Ventricular excitation, that is ventricular contraction, is denoted by QRS complex, and ventricular relaxation is denoted by the T wave. Okay. Now if you will see at the real time, it will look something like that, the action of the heart and the ECG, which will be synchronizing with it. Okay. Now that we have learned about the action potential, we can very well guess where the arrhythmias can occur. They can occur due to the problem at where? SA node. They can occur at the problem due to SA node, or at the atrial cells, or AV node, or ventricular cells, right? Now what are the causes of arrhythmias? Arrhythmias can occur when there is electrolyte disturbances as seen in hypokalemia, hyperkalemia. If there is ischemic condition, because of hypoxia, arrhythmia can occur. If there is structural damage, change in conduction pathway causes arrhythmia. Drug toxicity like digitalis toxicity is one of the one reason. And if there is autonomic changes, like if there is increase in sympathetic tone or vagal tone, we see arrhythmias. The main mechanism causing it is atomicity and re-entry, re-entry being the most common cause. Okay. Now what is re-entry? Re-entry is the impulse re-enters and re-excites the area again. Like, see, if the impulse is traveling from the atria, it goes through the Purkinje fibers and then go to the ventricle. This is the normal pathway. But if there is a ischemic area, then when the impulse is traveling through it, there is a slow conduction through this area. And instead of going directly to the ventricle, some of the impulse may travel back and re-excite the tissue again. So this will be what you will see. The tissue is getting excited again and again, but no new impulse is generated. And the impulse goes back into the atria again. So this is called as sustained circuits. Okay. Now in atomicity, you should know two terms, that is EAD and DAD. EAD is early after depolarization, which is the interrupted phase 3, and it is exacerbated by low heart rates. DAD is delayed after depolarization, that is when the phase 3 is completed. Again the heart is activated, and it is because of the increased intracellular calcium, and it is exacerbated by fast heart rates. C, it is responsible for arrhythmias caused because of ischemia also. Okay. Now, what is our pharmacological goal in treating arrhythmia? It is that we should restore the normal sinus rhythm and we should prevent the formation of serious arrhythmias. The drugs that which are used, they will reduce the conduction velocity and they will change the effective refractory period. Okay. Now, if this is the action potential of raised heart rate, now how can we reduce the rate or increase the ERP, that is effective refractory period? We can increase the wave of depolarization, right guys? We can increase the wave of depolarization, and by increasing it will look something like this. If the wave of depolarization is increased, the ERP is increasing and the heart rate will go down, and this is done by class 1 drugs which are sodium channel blockers. Otherwise, what second thing we can do? We can increase the plateau period, right? We can increase the plateau period and the ERP will increase, and this is done by class 4 of the drugs, that are the calcium channel blockers, because plateau is with the calcium channels, right? Or otherwise what we can do? We can increase the repolarization. We can increase the repolarization, and this is done by class 3. So ERP is increased, right? So this is how the different classes of drugs will be acting on arrhythmias. Now tell me, at the nodal cell, how can we achieve the same effect? We can do that by increasing the conduction rate, right? By increasing the conduction rate, the heart rate will slow down, and this is done by class 2 of the drug classification. Then again we can do that by increasing the rate of depolarization. Yes, we can increase the wave of depolarization, and the depolarization is caused by calcium ions. So this is done by class 4, right? Now let's see how the drugs are affecting the cardiac action potential. Class 1A are the sodium channel blocker. Sodium channel blocker will increase the rate of depolarization. Class 1 is then divided into class 1A, B and C according to their mode of action. That is, moderately acting is 1A, weakly acting is 1B and strongly acting is 1C. 1A example are quinidine procainamide, 1B example lignocaine phenytoin, and 1C is flecainide. Class 2 are beta blockers which will reduce the rate of conduction. Example propranolol, metoprolol. Class 3 are potassium channel blockers. Potassium channel blockers will increase the rate of repolarization. Example is amiodarone. Class 4 are calcium channel blockers. Example are verapamil, which will increase the plateau phase. So at the end, what are the drugs used in arrhythmias? Class 1, which is sodium channel blockers divided into 1A, 1B, 1C. Class 2, which are the beta blockers, example esmolol, reducing the conductivity. Class 3 are potassium channel blockers. Class 4 are calcium blockers, and one more class has been added, and that is the miscellaneous groups, which comprises of potassium, magnesium, adenosine. So let's see the classification again. It is called as Vaughan Williams classification. It has 5 classes. The miscellaneous class is the 5th class. One class is divided into 1A, 1B, 1C, acting on the sodium channels, right, and increasing the action potential duration. Class 2 are the beta blockers. Class 3 are the potassium channel blockers which will increase the what? Repolarization wave, and class 4th are the calcium channel blockers, mainly L-type calcium channel blockers. These classes will be discussed one by one in the upcoming videos. Thank you so much.